Baba Yaga, the taskmaster of insurmountable odds. And I wanted to get more from Baba Yaga after the that last reading where we were focusing a lot on John Wick. And I thought it was pretty synchronous when I opened the book and saw one of the key words for her is insurmountable odds. Because I went back and watched a clip from the first movie where they explain why he's called Baba Yaga. And it's like he's who you call when you need to take out the boogeyman, and talking about really complex tasks, and he's the one who set the foundation for on which they stand, the organization, and the task for him to leave the organization was set up as an impossible one. So that's how he garnered that moniker. And I also got the anomaly card. So I guess we're sticking with the Keanu Reeves characters theme, because this is my Neo card. And I am of the thinking that when a figure, a deity, an angel, so forth, reaches out to someone, it's not because they're special. Sorry if I'm bursting anybody's bubble, but it's because they have something that they want, something that furthers their collective, their intent, so forth. And it got me thinking about the prophecy in The Matrix, that the prophecy was not that Neo is the one. It was that there's someone inside the Matrix with the power to change it. Sounds like a pretty impossible task. Changing the Matrix. So that is what I wanted to get into, to see what was blocking forward movement from that last reading. Because it's still, we have that theme of the new is trying to come in, the harvest, but something's blocking it. An impossible task, I guess. So maybe we can get a little bit more about what the nature of this impossible task is. The eye. Eye of providence. Seeing something hidden, or something in plain sight, actually. Because the Matrix is in plain sight, but its true nature is like unbeknownst to the majority of the people in it. Interesting. So finding the true nature of things. Start getting some cards out and see. So what is the illusion, I guess, that nobody's seeing, that's right in front of their face? Could be foundational in a way. So on the dice roll I got Pisces, 4th house, and the South Node. So something to wrap up in the 4th house? Maybe? The Hierophant. And it came out sideways. So in motion. The nature of the Hierophant is unknown. And that, I mean, they represent large institutions. So that's, again, that can be that groupthink, like the egregore. It's going to change and evolve as the individuals within the group think, their own thinking starts to modify and change, and maybe they wake up to the Matrix. Who knows? Start seeing things as they are, not for as they're sold to be. We've got 3 of Blades in reverse, 3 of Swords, and Queen of Coins in reverse. Was that 3? No, that's 6. I had it covered. So, a relief of heartbreak around being stuck in one place. And it has something to do with the Queen of Coins. Like, I'm kind of getting a larger, like, macro level, like, financial abuse. Not like what an individual would do typically. It's more like to a group, within this respective matrix. So it's happening to a lot of people. Could be something like wage theft, things like that. Preventing people from having really their true agency that they're owed through the resources that they've already provided labor for. So it's not just wage theft, it's time theft, health theft. And think of all the undue burdens that end up getting put on people who don't get paid appropriately. Things like debt and late fees that wouldn't otherwise be there. And it compounds, it snowballs, because these things are exponential, because they're also competing with the larger umbrella of things like inflation, the economy, and whatnot. And so you get that gap gets wider and wider and wider, like faster and faster and faster. But it has something to do with the Queen of Coins. And I wish this deck would say, like in the book, what these flowers are. Because I don't know. That would be really interesting to me for the associations. But it's almost like a funerary. Like, you know, they put the pictures up front with the flowers and stuff. And don't mind me if I mute a lot. I'm coming down with some kind of cold. I'm managing quite well with watermelon and pineapple and tahini. Seems to be a good combination for a cold remedy. But so Queen of Coins is doing something that keeps everybody within this respective matrix in place. But it's starting to shift. So what are they doing? It's keeping people in place. Gifts. And soar? Oh. Just got like a... Nepotism isn't the right word. I don't think bribery is either. But it's like... what was that news story that just came out? The... Thiel guy. With the secret society and everything, and it's allegedly getting like government contracts secured through those summits or whatever, and so something like that. And soar, it's like letting things take off, things that maybe otherwise wouldn't take off because these deals, something isn't legitimate. It's like, I don't know, giving high-level positions in a company only to your buddies or something. Or, I don't know, not disclosing that, like, say somebody in the government or whatever hires somebody else that they're not like, oh, this is my cousin. Like, they don't disclose something like that. That's not allowed for a reason, or at least needs to be disclosed for a reason. Like, so it can be reviewed. And I think that happens all the time. We hear that in hearings, especially recently, with all the things that are going on with the federal government, whatever, finding out, oh, this person actually knew this person, it's like a backdoor deal and whatnot, and like, hey, wait a minute, where are these checks and balances that I've heard about? Why aren't they getting employed? What's going on? Why isn't it working? I have questions. But what's the nature of these gifts? Air, flight, movement of thought. Kind of matches a soar card. That would influence the groupthink. So I'm just going to go with an organization. We're talking about a larger organization, a larger group. And so if somebody is getting all their buddies in the important positions in this organization, then they can influence like the whole course of the ship. And it doesn't take an organic, natural flow, a natural diversity of ideas that would evolve on its own had like the normal process been followed rather than stacking the deck. So what impact is this having that's holding people back? I mean, that's going to be unfair competition in the workplace. It's not going to give people a fair chance. It's a form of wage theft. Like lost wages. But what effect is this having? And a plop. Oh man, this is really bad. 5 of coins. Destitute, poverty, and I don't know what they're trying to depict here, but that is not a healthy skull. That's like diseased bone and looks like injury and so forth. It's like the cost of poverty. Like poverty charges interest, not being able to address health issues, having to put them off, having to go back to work before you're ready, before really you've had true time to recover. Because it's like you get the absolute bare minimum amount of leave to keep the serf functioning to till the fields. But then we break down faster over the long course of our lives that is getting shorter because we're not getting proper care. And so it's stuff like that. Like the people holding up the weight of the organization, they're getting hurt. They're getting long-term, like, things you can't pay for. Even if you make this right someday, this part can never be undone. You've completely screwed them over for the rest of their lives. And they don't pay out according to that. According to, like, actual long-term fact of the true impacts that these type of things have on people's lives, even though we have data on it. It's like total disregard for who they count on to even be able to stack the deck with their buddies. It's a recipe for disaster. So what else about this? That'd be a pretty impossible task, trying to come up against a stacked deck like that. The Fool. non-starters preventing the new from coming in. Just like the new journey. And it could be lots of new things. Because there's all sorts of different flowers in this card. How many opportunities have been taken from people? It's like one of those things you can't even measure it. Like, so much has been done. It's immeasurable. And they're still responsible, and I'm kind of getting a perception of too big to fail. It's like, well, we've done so much damage, it's like incalculable how much we've done. Well, I guess your business is going bankrupt then, because you're going to have to do the best you can with what you've gotten off their backs. So, you're bad. Be mad about it. Like, it's the literal least you can do to do everything in your power to make that right. That's one of those major forms of corruption that really grinds my gears. Because it poisons the water, essentially. And it takes a long time for things to start corroding, but once they do, it's like the checks and balances to stand up against it gets eroded. And then immeasurable damage is being done for future generations. I'm thinking of like the federal government now. But all the things that they did to like historical buildings, was it the East Wing of the White House? You can't replace just this damage, this havoc. And it's all because, what, we don't have a better checks and balances system? Like, what are we doing? I don't know. What else about the Fool? So, whatever the, is it nepotism? Corruption. Whatever the corruption is, it's having devastating effects on the lives of the people involved in this. You can also put that in the context of climate change, like all the cascading effects of things like that, or Reaganomics and whatnot. And then I think I saw, oh gosh, where was it? Wisconsin? Somewhere like that? Minnesota, maybe? There was some sort of contract signed, like, under the cover of night with a big tech company and the city, whatever respective city it was. And it's like, oh, well, it can't be undone now. Why not? You went about it the wrong way, in a way that like goes against the procedures that you were supposed to follow. Shouldn't that just render it null and void right there on the spot? I don't get it. It's like this power that people have, or they think they have, has gone to their head completely. 10 of Swords, 10 of Blades, reversed. That's like, I think of that as being skewered, not being on the ground. And in the Rider-Waite, in the backdrop, the sun is rising. So in reverse, it's like going into darkness. The sun is setting, it's getting worse. It's getting scarier, more unknown, more, does it ever stop? When does it stop? Why won't it stop? How long is this going to go on? I mean, like we saw in the Matrix, until there was no water left and it was almost all machines. So, how is this Neo character stepping in? This might be at the macro level. Still sticking with that Uranus and Gemini theme from the new moon. So how is Neo stepping in? Oh, there we go. Release. Oh, this is like the death card. Transformation. Bringing an end to the old, but it's hard to see in the background. There are actually a lot of crows here. Like they fade out. Releasing the souls of the trapped. It's making me think of the end of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood regarding the Philosopher's Stone. Have you seen that? It's really good, if you haven't. So stepping in to release the souls of the damned, essentially, and the damned being the imprisoned, the unfairly imprisoned. Because that's what financial abuse does. It imprisons people in the short and long term, is not only impacting their immediate movement, choices, agency, etc., but the long-term impacts of, again, not being able to address debt, health issues, so forth. So what about this release? This is the romance rune, but I think of it as ancestry, actually, because it's the triqueta. Like a Celtic knot. So it just gives me that ancestry feel back to Ireland. So releasing the ancestors? Uh-oh. That's not... I guess it depends on what side of the equation that you're on, but that's not good for somebody. Releasing of the ancestor. And it could also be your ancestral pantheon. You know, because if you're new to the channel, I went, long story short, very long story short, went through my own near-death experience, which is where I met the Morrigan, and she has since become my patron, and Irish ancestry, tutelary deity of Ireland, and I continue to wonder why. Like, what do I have that she needs, she wants, you know? Something I continue to mull over. I do have the gift of gab, and one of her attributes is rallying warriors to battle. And so, I don't know, I feel like any step we take to prioritize and heal ourselves is a battle against this status quo that's got us here, that's left us in pretty dire straits. So, I don't know. We'll see how it evolves over the course of wherever I'm headed. But maybe it's something like that. In your or many people's stories, maybe connecting with your ancestry, your heritage, your ancestral pantheon, learning about the myths and the stories and the legends of where you came from. I think Baba Yaga is Slavic, so however however that plays out. But tell me more about this ancestral release. It's definitely my own personal journey that I've been working on. One of the biggest changes is how I view things like St. Patrick's Day, colonialism, and how my own bloodline was impacted by colonialism, and how me, now here, as the descendant, was propagandized and not given really the full story, and I had to go looking for it. It's really trivialized as like, oh, it was a potato famine, not giving the full story as to potatoes were the only crop that could grow in the small amount of land that the landlords gave back to the Irish after taking it. Like, just barely surviving and then having to flee. It really changes your perspective on St. Patrick's Day. We've got Page of Rods. Page of Wands. What a creepy image. This is like mortuary equipment, but with a very tiny skull on there. This is the first thing out of all of the anatomy cards here that's giving me that like mad scientist or like an oddity vibe. If you've ever been to like an oddities shop, expo, things like that. So the student of ideas. Maybe revealing the nature of an idea. That something isn't what it appears, or something's actually pretty twisted. Like the human batteries behind the Matrix. Like how messed up that really is. And same thing with just what I was going on about Irish history and such. Actually revealing the truth. The truth of the things that were done, and that history is written by the victors, not by the oppressed. So what else about Page of Rods? So that's what the Neo character is doing, is like pulling back the veil so that the pods with the liquids and everything can be seen. Like, see, it's actually, yeah, you're being farmed. It's like office workers today are just like modern factory workers or coal miners and whatnot. We're just distracted with cat videos. There's a lot of comparisons, even to like medieval serfs, that Americans get less time off than medieval serfs did. It's pretty sad. We've got 8 of Rods in reverse. So this is a card of directed energy. It can be a message. It can be groupthink. It can be that directed thought, like mob mentality. But I'm interpreting this as it's like taking the wind out of the illusion. It's taking the energy out of it. Like, what has been seen cannot be unseen. once people are awake, they can't go back to sleep. Like there was that one guy in the Matrix. It's the guy that was eating the steak. That he was trying to go back to sleep, and I don't remember what happened, but it didn't work out. And I think that might have been an Agent Smith interference. But he got like bamboozled because Agent Smith needed a way out of the Matrix. But to destroy the humans, tell me more about that. Kind of curious about. Like, is somebody on to Neo and trying to stop Neo? What else about this? Not as many. Just taking the bottom one. Nine of rods. Nine of wands. Boundaries. Trying to cross the boundary. So trying to cross the boundary to stop Neo? Whoever Neo is? To stop people from waking up to the Matrix, to the illusion? Well, I'm on Neo's side. I don't think it's fair to use people as batteries without telling them or without or convincing them it's their idea, rather. Like, it's sort of the brainwashy, propagandized. Like, giving me, like, 1984 as well. Like, think of the company, is that what they called it in there? And then your portion of chocolate progressively gets smaller, but you're being asked for the same or more. I think that's right. So what is being done to try and stop the anomaly? Because that was really, it came down to Agent Smith was like copying himself, like he was out of control, power trip. Started copying himself into like the Oracle and taking out major pillars of the Matrix, all in the interest of his own power. And they're all interdependent on one another. It's like messing with the harmony. So what's trying to stop Neo? Because, I mean, we've seen the movie. We know Neo prevails. So I'm hoping that's what happens here, is that the Neo character, person, will prevail. But what's trying to get in their way? Territory. Jurisdiction? This immediately reminded me of, like, the Washington Monument. Just the silhouette of it and like that whole reflecting pool thing that's going on. They're pouring like jugs of hydrogen peroxide into the water to try and take care of the algae. Like, aren't you concerned about the birds? Like, this is what happens when you fire all the environmental people and the civil engineers and everything. And these crows in this card, they're still corporeal compared to, like, the phantoms over here. But it's like what was that horror movie? Birds? The Birds? Just that swarm. So what about territory? This is what's trying to stop. Wait a minute. So to keep going with that like federal government theme, it's making me think of like the Trump method of how to just keep things going. It's like switching jurisdictions for the case to get a different judge or something like that. Like, just keep it wrapped up in the legal system to try and exhaust Neo. Because the end of the third movie is when there were all those, like, Agent Smiths. So trying to overwhelm Neo. The sun. Illumination. And when it does a little spin, it doesn't make a difference because that's symmetrical. So illuminating something. It's like blackmail. Like if this were a real life scenario or something, and somebody was standing up to a larger institution, it'd be like suggesting that, you know what, maybe we should just settle this outside of court because we wouldn't want anybody to hear about what you did when you were 20 or something like that. Like, okay, yeah, that was like 20 years ago. Everybody has a past. If you're gonna judge me for it, like, knock yourself out, I guess. Be prejudiced, like, whatever. Because that just tells me they have something in their past they don't want to be seen. It's just a big projection. Because anybody that's got a perfectly sanitized background, something's up. It's suspicious. So what about this territory? Oh, that's many. 3. We've got 7 of blades, 7 of swords, 4 of blades, and 8 of elixirs. Strategery, rest, and let go. But what's coming to mind with rest? It's that, like in the Rider-Waite, that's a sarcophagus. Like it's like a coffin. And even in the like the Game of Thrones tarot, it's somebody who had passed away. They've got like the stones over their eyes. So some sort of strategy. Gosh, and I mean, we hear about this sort of thing all the time, like whistleblowers and whatnot. They suddenly unalive themselves. Yeah, right. Like, we all know. We don't have proof of it, but is that like the threat that is being made? Like maybe this conflict, whatever is being done, or that's going on, has reached a point that the only thing left to do is try to threaten somebody into silence. Like all those scientists that keep going missing and then ending up unalived. What are we up to, 12 now? It's concerning. And it'll occasionally, like, raise its head in the news cycle and then, like, something else will happen. Because everything is happening all the time. But it's like trying to scare someone with, like, a threat. Like, this is our territory. Who are you to even think to challenge us? And I don't know. You gotta be careful. Especially if you're involved in something like this, like some secret agent, something or other. But if your back is up against the wall and you're in some sort of situation where you're facing poverty, Ten of Swords in reverse, like being skewered, they're keeping you in place, blocking your opportunities, that's not a life. Like, you're either asking me to be the living dead, the unalived, or bet on myself. I'm gonna bet on myself. I'm gonna do the Trinity thing, and like, I will tear this whole building apart myself. You know? Especially if somebody is going to make any sort of threat on somebody's life. Like, okay, now we're escalating. Like, you just did that to Neo, of all people. Like, what are you doing? Just making him mad. That's like, I don't know, throwing a soda can at a bear. Why would you do that? It still feels a little incomplete. Because what I'm gathering is that the anomaly here, they're trying to do the right thing because people are getting hurt. And these nepotists, whatevers, they're so insistent on keeping their power that they would hurt somebody. Like, it's pretty clear who's in the wrong here. But how... So we got the side that they're trying to overcome Neo. How does the Neo character overcome the impossible task and gain favor with Baba Yaga? A little extra detail, because it's like looking at scales that are trying to balance out. I want to know what's on the other side. Oh, and that does really remind me of the end of the third movie, the waterproof card. Because it's all that rain. That was probably so cold. But perspective, this is like the hangman card. Because see, it came out reversed. But upright, this crow is upside down. And then in reverse, they're upright. So flipping things on their head. And I don't know, the insanity of Neo stepping to one Agent Smith surrounded by Agent Smiths, because that's like very egregorian. But it's kind of like a Hail Mary. Like, if this doesn't work, then, well, this is it. Like, we gotta at least try and save the humans. And I just noticed waterproof is 53 and perspective is 35. So more, it's mirroring. This can go either way. Because I kind of get the sense that anybody who's in a Neo role, even as brave, the bravest person would be given pause over any kind of threat, you know? That doesn't mean it's going to stop them. Because there's... A threat is one thing, and actually going through with it is another. So... Did Neo call a bluff? And choose to step to the Agent Smiths anyway? Maybe this is past tense. I never really know what the tenses are. Waves. Movement of emotion. So we got movement of air and movement of emotion. So it's... Yeah, it's like what the architect said, like the thing that makes Neo different is his approach is through love of humanity, of the people around him. And the approach of the respective Agent Smiths here would be through the love of power, the love of dominance, the love of being able to stand on your fellow person, wipe your shoes off on them, which, don't know why you love doing that. That's weird to me. I don't get people who are like that. I have no idea why someone would want to rule and then not take care of their kingdom. But so what about this perspective? Because this is reminding me of like water off a duck's back. Like maybe Neo was kind of thrown off about being threatened or something. Work through the emotions of it and just like, you know what? It's now or never. Like, it's go time. It's like knowing that if somebody's putting that much effort into trying to stop you, like you're on to something, you know? So what is Neo onto? This Neo person character. The anomaly. Because he had the crazy idea of like going to the machine city to appeal to the source. Nope. I see the Temperance card. And, oh, King of Swords in reverse. It's a gnarly energy. Temperance and Queen of Elixirs, Queen of Cups. It's like overcoming somebody who's vicious and antagonistic with love and patience. And not necessarily like passive love. I'm thinking like wrathful compassion. Like the love that you have to employ in order to bring harm to a halt. That's not a passive act. And temperance, represented by Archangel Michael, the warrior angel. And it's also the two cups. Like, it's very alchemical. But the Temperance card, that's like walking a tightrope. You have to maintain the balance. And that doesn't mean staying perfectly balanced the whole way through. It means recovering when there's a sway and going with that flow, with the movement of the rope. Moving through the spaces in the in-betweens. Could be in the shadows in a way. Like with that ancestral theme. It's making me think of the Phantom Queen translation of the Morrigan's name, because there's like the Phantom Queen, the Great Queen, the Nightmare Queen, and it really is emphasizing that phantom aspect to me. Because if one person is going up against a large organization or something, a direct approach might not be the most prudent, actually. Might need to be a little more cunning in order to protect oneself, rather than going in like guns a-blazing. That's why some missions on Assassin's Creed are so hard for me. I like to go in through the front door with all the firepower. The stealth ones are hard. Those are the ones I die the most. So I think this could be something maybe we're seeing play out on the macro level. Like there's lots of people doing lots of things right now, and probably not directly in the face of an oppressive system that is actively hurting people and doesn't care. That's a difficult challenge and impossible task to overcome. So I think we're sticking with this theme of grounding and self-care and knowing what you need in that moment. Because we talk about self-care in kind of like generic, do yoga, go for a walk, journal, so on and so forth. It's the self-care for what you need at the time. An example would be like, one of my vices is cigarettes. That's something that I will forever be keeping myself away from just because I know how much I enjoy them. And right around somewhere in between the election and the inauguration, I was like on the verge of going out and buying a pack of cigarettes again. And instead, I went over to the dispensary and got some wacky tobacco, the pre-rolls. And now I have this self-care ritual that on the weekends I like to have a pre-roll with like coffee or chai or something, and it keeps me from buying a pack of cigarettes. It's one of those things that people might look down on as taboo and whatnot, but I know I'm doing that for myself to ensure I'm not going back to a habit that I know has a hold over me. It's got power over me. And I feel no need, no urge to explain to someone who wouldn't take the time to ask, like, why I do what I do. Like, if you want to judge me and you want to make assumptions without asking clarifying questions, if you're curious, go ahead. Like, that's your prerogative. It's your life. If you want to be that way, be that way. You're not invited for coffee or chai and a smoke. We've got Captain America Civil War. Conflicting perspectives. It's a really good one. That airport scene, so cool. But infighting within the group, this could be that bigger shifting of the groupthink, of that Hierophant that came out sideways. That there's kind of a split perspective, a split decision. There's no way to make everybody happy. And especially if you're standing up, or you're even watching somebody stand up against a status quo, especially the people that were benefiting from that, they're not going to like it. Even if and when you point out, like, well, what about the harm that this was doing to other people? Some people are just relentlessly selfish. That, like, as long as I'm taken care of, the rest of yous, you don't matter. Doesn't matter what happens to you. And a lot of people like that end up in leadership positions, end up running very important things in people's lives, in, I don't know, all sorts of positions beyond leadership. Anything with a function of control is like a core component of it. So maybe a little thought-provoking. Watch Captain America or The Matrix, John Wick, whichever. Something to get those gears turning on. You can't win everybody over, and everybody is entitled to their own perspective. It's like knowing that you're committed to doing the right thing, even if you have to do it alone. So, overall, I hope this helps. I hope this resonates, and if it doesn't, I hope the next one does. Thank you so much.